Ladies, let me drop a truth bomb. Men are not nearly as shallow as Instagram memes make them look. Sure, guys notice curves, hair, lips, the obvious stuff. But here's what no one tells you. The real turn-ons, the things that make a man obsess over you, crave you, and feel addicted to you, they're hidden in his psychology. And today, I'm exposing 5 psychological turn-ons more powerful than looks. By the end of this, you'll see why the woman who isn't the prettiest in the room often ends up being the one he can't stop thinking about. Turn on number 1, the energy of feminine calm. Okay, this one is rare, which is why it's insanely powerful. A woman who carries an aura of calm, of emotional steadiness, becomes magnetic to a man. Why? Because men live in chaos. Stress, work, pressure, expectations. His nervous system is constantly in fight or flight mode. When he's around a woman whose energy says, "You're safe here, you can exhale with me," his brain lights up like fireworks. This isn't about being passive, it's about the way you regulate your energy. Your tone of voice that soothes instead of nags. Your body language that signals peace instead of tension. Your ability to stay composed when he's spiraling. Science backs this up. Men release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, around women who help calm their nervous system. That's not nice to have. That's biology saying, this is the one who balances me. And here's the part most women don't realize. Calm doesn't mean boring. You can still be fiery, playful, and fun, but underneath it all, he feels grounded with you. Think of it like this. He's a storm, you're the anchor. And anchors, way sexier than he'll ever admit. Because when a man finds a woman whose presence feels like home, not judgment, not drama, not pressure, but peace, he will come back again and again. Beauty might grab him once, but calm keeps him forever. Turn on number 2, subtle respect for his masculinity. Listen carefully, because this isn't about inflating his ego. This is about triggering a deep primal drive in men. Every guy, whether he admits it or not, wants to feel like a protector, a provider, a man worthy of admiration. When you subtly respect his masculinity, not worship it, not stroke it 24/7, but respect it, he feels something more powerful than lust. He feels bonded. Examples of subtle respect: asking his opinion on something important, acknowledging his effort, even in small things, letting him feel capable without cutting him down. This isn't about playing weak, it's about playing smart. Because the moment a man feels like you see him as your man, not just a guy, but your guy, his brain starts attaching you to his identity. And here's what makes it even more powerful. When you respect his masculinity, you're not just turning him on, you're feeding his deepest need to feel significant. Looks can get him excited, sure, but respect makes him proud, protective, and invested. That's the difference between a fling and a forever. Because men will walk away from beauty they don't feel respected by, but they will fight to the death for a woman who makes them feel like the strongest version of themselves. And that's not just attraction, it's devotion. Turn to number 3, emotional mirroring. This one's sneaky and almost nobody talks about it, but it's insanely powerful. Emotional mirroring is when you reflect a man's emotional state back to him, not in a copycat way, but in a way that shows you get him. Here's why this works. Men are raised in a world where they're told to man up, hide your feelings, don't be weak. That means most men walk around emotionally starved, craving someone who actually understands what they feel. You can mirror his emotions, recognize his stress, share his excitement, match his energy. His brain says, finally, someone who gets me without me having to explain. Examples: he comes home drained, and instead of nagging, you acknowledge it. Rough day? I can tell you're wiped. He lights up about something nerdy, and instead of brushing it off, you lean in. Tell me more. You're glowing right now. He's quiet, and you don't force it. You sit with him in the silence, letting him know it's safe. Why it beats looks? Because looks can't soothe a man's emotional hunger. Mirroring can. And when a man feels emotionally mirrored, he starts to bond on a level that bypasses logic. And here's a part most women underestimate. Mirroring isn't about agreement. It's about recognition. You don't have to feel what he feels, but showing that you see it makes him feel profoundly connected. That simple validation becomes a turn-on, more addictive than any physical trait. And no, emotional mirroring does not mean copying his every move like some weirdo mime at the park. If he sighs and you sigh louder, that's not bonding. That's auditioning for a bad TikTok skit. Turn on 4, the element of intrigue. Here's where a lot of women go wrong. They confuse being open with being an open book. And let me tell you something about men. We are simple creatures in many ways, but our brains are wired to chase mystery. When a woman leaves just enough unknown, his imagination fills in the gaps. And trust me, his imagination will paint you as 10 times more magnetic than if you laid everything bare on day one. I'm not talking about playing hard to get in a cringy way. That's just exhausting. I'm talking about cultivating intrigue. You don't have to tell him your whole life story in the first week. Drop pieces of it like breadcrumbs. You don't reply to every text in under 5 seconds. Sometimes you're busy. He should feel like you have a full, interesting life outside of him. You share your opinions, but you don't always explain every single thing you do. Let him wonder, why stronger than looks? Because beauty answers questions, but mystery raises them. And questions keep a man hooked. His brain starts chasing, what is it about her? Why can't I figure her out? What's she thinking right now? Look, if he can predict your every move like reruns of Friends, he'll stop tuning in. But if you keep him guessing, suddenly you're Netflix releasing a new episode every week, and he's subscribed for life. Turn on number 5, a woman with her own fire. Now this is the grand finale, the turn on that makes men crave you beyond looks, beyond even chemistry, and it's this, a woman with her own fire. Translation, a woman who has her own passions, her own goals, her own identity. Here's a harsh truth. Men love to chase beauty, but they commit to women who light up their own world. Why? Because men don't just want to be someone's entire life. They want to be part of a life that already feels exciting, rich, and full. Think about it. A man sees a beautiful woman with no depth, someone who lives just to orbit around him. At first it feels flattering, but eventually gets suffocating. He loses respect and attraction dies. But a woman with her own fire, that's different. He's drawn in because she challenges him. She inspires him. She makes him feel like together they can build something bigger than either of them alone. Psychologically, this taps into what's called mate value increase. It means being with you raises his own sense of worth in the world. And when a man feels like loving you makes him better, stronger, and more alive, he's locked in. Looks can't compete with that. And no, your fire doesn't have to be climbing Mount Everest or running a Fortune 500 company. It can be art, teaching, volunteering, cooking, heck, even an obsession with pottery. What matters is that you're lit up by something, and that glow makes you magnetic. So there you have it. 5 psychological turn-ons more powerful than looks. Here's the bottom line. Looks catch a man's eye, but these catch his soul. And when you know how to trigger the psychology of attraction, you realize something incredible. You don't have to be the most beautiful woman in the room to be the one he can't stop thinking about. Because men don't fall in love with a face. They fall in love with the feeling. And if you can give him these 5, girl, you've already won.